Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Tessier of WrestleZone.com, joined by Ring of Honor star himself, the Mecca, Brian Johnson. Brian, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks.
I detect a hint of sarcasm there.
Yeah, just a wee bit, huh?
Right. Well, obviously, we will touch on some of the reasons for that in a general sense here in a couple minutes. But first and foremost, in a more present sense, you will be on Ring of Honor Wrestling this weekend, facing one of the past, icons of pure wrestling in Ring of Honor, former pure champion John Walters. Now, Brian, you are
the insurance salesman, right? He sells insurance, I think.
Right.
That's what they hired him back for. Some guys had some back pain, I think, and then he slipped in. But no worries, I'll take care of the insurance salesman. Yep.
Well, you'll be facing this weekend. You now are the top-ranked contender in the Pure Division. So this will be, as Ring of Honor is billing it, as a clash of the past and the present of pure wrestling. So, I mean, how does that feel to kind of be, or at least considered, or perhaps rightfully so at this point, maybe one of the more present standard bearers of pure wrestling in Ring of Honor as the top-ranked contender?
Well, it's nice to hear you say that because some bozo, Jay Lethal, went and called out an entire roster of people at a pay-per-view and didn't mention my name. And I thought that was some shit. But yet I kept winning, and I see all those guys picking up L's and L's and L's. Ain't that funny? So to be considered the future, it's about damn time. I've been on a run all year long, and it's just been overlook after overlook after overlook. It's no surprise. It's how Ring of Honor does. They like to talk about everything they used to do. But we're going to be changing the future. We're going to be rewriting history, as I plan to do in this Pure Rules match. And, I know I'm rambling a bit, but all jokes aside, John Walters is a former Pure champion. So when I get into a ring with a former champion, it means a lot to somebody like me who grew up a wrestling fan studying this crap. Trust me, I know that John Walters is dangerous, or at least he was, but his time's past, man. Stick to the insurance. It's my Metcade now.
That it is. You mentioned you've been on a roll. I mean, especially ever since you switched to the Pure Division, you've definitely been, a guy that likes to call himself the Mecca locomotive. You've been like a runaway train here. So ideally continuing this weekend, final battle right around the corner. Obviously, it will be a very climactic show, a very historic show. And, at this point, with you being the top-ranked contender, and let's assume that you do emerge victorious this weekend on Ring of Honor Wrestling, I have to imagine that will likely solidify your case for a pure title shot.
Well, Colin, I'm shocked that someone like you was able to put that together, albeit as simple as a solution as it may seem. You're correct. If I beat John Walters, I will 100% be the solidified #1 contender for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. And we all know what's been out there in the news and an end of an era. I don't know if it'll be at Final Battle, but trust me, my title shot, whether it be Final Battle or maybe the last episode of TV of the year, whatever it may be, I will not wait or waste that opportunity. So from now to the time this publishes, the Mecca is gunning for one thing, and it's that pure title.
Right here today, Josh Woods holds that title, and I believe you've been an outspoken critic of him I've heard you on commentary and maybe some tweets online, but it seems like you have a bit of a bone to pick with him, even with that title shot being a hypothetical at this point. So there might be a little bit of a personal thing there.
Well, have you ever spoke to Josh Woods?
I have, actually.
and what was your thoughts? Well,
he's definitely not like you. He's got his own charm. He's very, he's got personality. He's got that legitimate background, and he offsets that with a natural kind of affability.
I just can't wrap my head around someone with two scrunched up ears like that, yet they still have the ability to have an entire cranium full of air. I'm shocked that it even gets in there. The guy's a complete airhead, floating out in cloud nine. Yeah, he could tie me into a pretzel. But this is around professional wrestling. This isn't some amateur wrestling match because people actually pay to see us. And this isn't around some octagon where you could come do some running kick to my face. I guess he still could, but not as tactical. This is professional wrestling. It's my world. And when I hear people tout Josh Woods because he won some tournament 6 years ago and he beat Josh Woods because our referee made 6 bad calls, great. The kid's lucked into some wins. He's never taken on the Mecca at the point that I'm at right now. And when he does, it's a shame he's got that championship around his waist because it won't be there.
Fair enough. And, you mentioned that, but now more recently, Josh Woods is aligned, if not officially joined the foundation. And we're talking about pure wrestling. We're talking about how you're
talking about dorks.
Do you not agree with the idea that pure wrestling is the foundation of Ring of Honor? Because that's what they're really trying to kind of prove and reaffirm all this time later, with that being through the company's past. Again, with you being considered the present, feels like you might be a guy that would be maybe a little on board with that.
Well, you would think, right? Yet my cell phone never rang. I see all these videos where some jackass with an octopus mask on is making phone calls to this guy and phone calls to that. My phone never rang. Because you see, while they're right in the premise of Pure Rules is the proper representation of this company, all the best have had it. AJ Styles, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Nigel McGuinness, Samoa Joe. Come on, right? The who's who. I think that sometimes they're single-minded in how they approach the Pure Rules. Maybe someone like myself tends to look at them a different way. And because I don't choose to look at it their way, I'm wrong. If you ask me, that seems like some totalitarian rule and like we should all be mad at them. But yet when the Mecca comes barking up the tree, like, hey, maybe there's a difference here. I'm the bad guy. I'm the one looking at the rules wrong. Or maybe they just have some like Napoleon complex and they just want to dominate and be in control of the whole rules so they can keep it amongst themselves. A clique of some sort. How convenient. They lose and then Josh joins them. What kind of crap is that? Josh had any backbone. If he was a real beast, he'd stand up. Name me one beast that's like, oh yeah, I'll join your team. Dork.
There does seem to be a divide there where, you have been on this role in pure wrestling matches, but the commentary team themselves have pointed out, like, admittedly, some of those wins have come with a little bending of the rules, whereas pure wrestling, and pure is in the name, so by maybe bending the rules a little bit, there seems to be a bit of a contrast there inherently.
I don't know one rule I broke. The referee's decision's final, right? So if the referee saw it and accused me of it, I'm always told how great our referees are. Todd Sinclair is the best ever. Well, I agree. He's the greatest. He's counted 1, 2, 3 on plenty of my victories. But yet mine get questioned. Okay.
Well, there will be no question, in the event that you do face Josh Woods or the pure champion, whoever it might be at the time, that will definitely be a very exciting match to look forward to. And something else we're looking forward to.
I don't know if it will be. I think the bell's going to ring and I'm going to wrap my arm around their skull and count them 1, 2. It might be the quickest title match of all time. I could just give Josh Woods, a book to read and he wouldn't find his way to the ring and I'd win by fortune.
As entertaining as that might be, I don't know if that's the most realistic outcome, because I myself, being a fan of both you and Josh Woods and pure wrestling itself, I hope to see a pure title match at Final Battle, because it will be a very historic show. Now, obviously, yes, not to avoid the elephant in the room any further. Obviously, a lot of the conversation, the discussion around Final Battle, end of an era, is literally in the name now. With the news that Ring of Honor will be going on hiatus the first quarter of 2022 to quote unquote reimagine itself, obviously lending a lot of uncertainty and question marks and just general, I guess, openness for trying to be positive. But there's a lot of uncertainty around Ring of Honor right now. For a guy that in our past interviews, you said you've really waved that flag loud and proud. I gotta ask what your thoughts are about are at a time like this.
I think everybody on the roster is, for lack of a better term, coping with the news that we got. And everybody probably feels a different way. So I can only speak to how I'm affected, and it sucks. Not just from a losing a job standpoint, but from a, man, I thought we had something special. Now, I'll be the first person to tell you that I don't like everybody in the locker room. I'm not best friends with them. I'm not hanging out at the hotels afterwards. I'm not in the group chats. I don't give a shit. But I relate it to, if you have a brother or a sister that you can pick on, but the moment somebody, outside the house does, right? They were the company that accepted me. They were the company that allowed the Mecca to be the Mecca. Whether or not me and them, again, I always saw eye to eye on what that meant is a different story, and will be talked about when it needs to be talked about. But to see a locker room that I really, truly believe in my heart of hearts is so freaking talented, be, I don't want to say dismantled, but disassembled, maybe, or, let go, right? So abruptly, with not much that we could do about it, that freaking sucks. That definitely sucks. But what that means now is I've heard constantly that, this is the best time to be an independent pro wrestler. Well, holy shit, the talent pool just got bigger. I mean, like, the Briscoe brothers are on the independents. What?
Right.
The Mecca's on the independent. What? Dak Draper. What? Matt Taven. What? Vincent, a cult leader. There's a freaking cult leader on the independents, like, with the ability to take, like, for so long, these guys have been wrapped up because Ring of Honor knew what they had. We had the most talented freaking roster on the planet. No matter what idiot was running it could see that. So they locked a lot of guys into exclusive deals. So it's not like guys that maybe got signed for 6 months to go somewhere else and got re-released. No, some of these guys have been out for years. Dalton Castle, et cetera, et cetera. Like, holy crap, the independents are going to be freaking hot. But while they're hot, there's only so many people that can be in the kitchen. So it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a scramble. But if you're good at this and you love it, you'll survive. And I'm going to survive.
We definitely do want to talk more about the future here, but just to look back a little bit, especially, I've had the opportunity to speak to you twice now, and I've gotten to see you kind of shine throughout the pandemic era, specifically, when Ring of Honor came back, you were featured on TV, you cut promos, and really it felt like, at least for me, maybe I'm biased, but you started to really pick up some momentum. And now, again, here you are, call it pretty much almost exactly a year later from the airing of the Pure tournament. And now a year later, now you're pretty much set to face John Walters, and again, hopefully challenge for the title final battle. But looking back on it all, again, maybe for you, as you said yourself, the answer and how people are feeling is very individualistic. But for you, a guy that is really only started to kind of hit their stride or to be given the opportunity in that sense, what are some of kind of your highlights or fondest memories of your time in Ring of Honor now that we're entering this new chapter or whatever it might be?
I didn't accomplish a damn thing at Ring of Honor. So my memories are that I came up short. And that's if it ended today. But see, I have a chance to change that. And that's why at some future date, when I get that Pure Championship match, I could change my entire outlook on my Ring of Honor career in one night. I could go from a lot of bark to a hell of a bite. And I'll be damned if it's Josh Woods, John Walters, it could be Mr. Pure himself, whoever that is. I don't give a crap. I'll be damned if I'm not able to look back at my Ring of Honor career for everything that I did to get here, for everything that it took to get to this moment, if I don't remember it positively. And there's only one way to do that, and that's to come out with a W. So at the moment, I look back, there's definitely some good moments, right? How could I forget Philadelphia? against EC3, one of the most decorated worldwide professional wrestlers to step foot in Ring of Honor. And I was this damn close. This damn close. And then the Briscoe brothers. I mean, that's when I realized that this locomotive was really taking off. We went almost 19 months or 18 months or 16, whatever the hell the number was, without a pay-per-view with fans, right? And they said, man, we got to kick this show off with a bang. And who did they hand the microphone to?
Johnson.
Not anybody else on the roster who claims to be the best talker. No. They handed it to the Mecca. And that's when it took off. So to start a pay-per-view with the Briscoe brothers, while again, we came up short, it was a highlight. But all of it means nothing if I don't come out with that pure championship.
Again, very, very hopeful you will. Again, we'll see what happens this weekend and beyond that. But now we've just looked back at Ring of Honor and such, but obviously we were talking about this uncertainty in the future. You mentioned earlier the independent scene, and I want to call attention to a video you shared on social media, sharing your thoughts about this uncertainty about one chapter ending and one new chapter beginning. And I just thought you just put it so wonderfully about how this important difference between a house and a home, where Ring of Honor was your home, and now having lost that, you're a man without a home, but without a home, you're a man that cannot be lost. So now you are heading off in this new direction without a destination. And there's something, admittedly, we've been talking about how it's upsetting, but there's something on the flip side of there's something kind of encouraging about that freedom, about being able to hit the open road and be able to take on any number of new opportunities. So with that being said, now you again mentioned in a general sense earlier, but now for you specifically, kind of moving forward here, what are your kind of goals for the future? Any hopes or things you haven't gotten to do yet that you want to do? Because again, we're facing a very seemingly open road at this point.
I want to take this mecha locomotive and run it till the wheels fall off. Whether that's in Topeka, Kansas, or Seattle, Washington, or Nova Scotia, Canada, or Antarctica, or Tokyo, or anywhere on the globe. I freaking love pro wrestling, man, and I'm damn good at it. And for too long, people haven't seen that. And it's about time to open their eyes. And that's what that video was about. Like you said, I lost the home. Ring of Honor was home. That's the brother and sister analogy again. And now without it, at the same time, it's freedom, right? I can't be lost. So I'm calling everybody and anybody across the world that wants it. I'll come get it. Just tell me when and where.
You mentioned in that same post, you were shooting your shot. You said I want the best, because you said you're better. At least in a hypothetical sense, is there anybody kind of again mentioning this very hot independent market, any number of people that are now out there? Is there anybody you kind of have an eye on that you might be wanting to work with, or is it more just kind of you're open to any and all people who want to go one-on-one with the Mecca?
Well, Mecca versus everybody includes everybody. So I don't make a list. I'm not you see every other jackass once a week going, this is my list, and checking it. What dorks? You know what I mean? Like, who gives a shit about your list? It's like asking about someone's fantasy football team. No one cares. Wow, you have a list of guys you want to wrestle. Why? No, you know what I mean? So I honestly mean it when I say take on anybody. Are there people that are high level that I'd like to test myself against? Yeah, shit, Bandito's on the independent still, and I never got a one-on-one with him. That'd be freaking cool to smack him around for once, right? Or Chris Dickinson, he's been the baddest son of a bitch on the independents for a long time. And you know what? I feel bad, actually. Chris, I think, just came up injured at the time of this. So I hope he heals up, because I'd love to mix it up with a guy like him. Him and I think, kind of look at wrestling the same way sometimes. I don't know if I like the way he spells, clearly by the way Violence Unlimited is marketed, but just because, he is potentially illiterate doesn't mean I don't respect his talents. But yeah, I'm not going to sit there and ramble about all these guys. They know who they are, the top of the world, the best independent wrestlers out there, guys that aren't the same style as me, the same size as me. I want to prove that I can do it all, and I belong in them with it all. It's not cliche. It's not marketing. It's freaking truth. I don't have a list because I think they're dumb.
You know, and I just, I don't know. I think there's something interesting about how in that video I mentioned you like put different independent promotions, not just independent promotions. You put you threw them all out there. Like you are, on the market, and you are looking forward to whatever comes next. But I guess I have to ask, at least in a general sense, are you more hoping or intending on kind of going all over the place, or hoping to kind of find a new home potentially at some point sooner rather than later?
Well, I'll never. So, I guess to have a home would involve exclusiveness in some sort of way, right? That word, however you want to, or guarantee, right? However you want to take that. If there's an opportunity for that, I would be dumb to say no. And I'm not saying there is or there isn't. Just I think right now the next step for the Mecca is to take this locomotive around the world. I don't know if it's time to settle into one place again. Not that I found a comfort zone, but I found my zone. And now that there's this unknown, it's kind of got me excited. Everybody just put out some stupid 8x10 and said available for bookings. Thanks, jackasses. We didn't know. But others got to work and, put out some creative stuff. I don't know if you saw the promo. Again, I don't really care for him as a human. I don't think he washes his gear, but EC3, he put out some interesting interview and promo work about this stuff. And I think if you're a wrestling fan and you missed it, you'd be dumb to be, because he's, while again, not my friend, he's still on the creative end of professional wrestling, probably one of the most creative guys on the independents, and some of the stuff he was putting out. I got off on a tangent there. I apologize.
Well, you mentioned EC3 and that creativity, and I mentioned the video that you shared.
So it came from stuff like that. Seeing guys just, sorry about that. So seeing guys that have done it before take different steps, and realizing that if 100 of us all put out an 8x10 and say available for bookings, it's going to get lost in the shuffle. So it was about getting eyes and attention, and it did. And I have some emails and some talks with promoters that are hopefully going to continue to go well. And hopefully this Mecca Locomotive Tour 2022 will be coming to a town near you. And like I said, it's all about getting out there and showing that I can put money where my mouth is. I'm not full of shit. I'm good at this. It's about freaking time people learn it.
Couldn't think of a better way to close it out with that. So Brian, do you want to, you shared that video on your Twitter page. So do you want to plug your Twitter or anything else before we get out of here?
Yeah, man. If I could, my Twitter, my Instagram are exactly the same. BJO_Mecca, MECCA. I'll be putting out some interesting stuff, especially next week. I think I'll be having some interesting news right around the holiday for everybody that they'll be interested to check out pertaining to 2022 and beyond, and things coming up for the Mecca. So just some stuff I got putting together, and you guys should really check that out. It'll be out sometime next week. Well, I don't know when this is going to air. Next week being Thanksgiving. Sorry, I guess I should be clear. Thanksgiving week will be out whenever it's aired. Well,
you've got me on the edge of my seat. Can't wait to see what the future holds for you. Wish you the very best this week on Ring of Honor Wrestling for this last stretch of this chapter of Ring of Honor, and then obviously everything that comes beyond that. So, Brian, I thank you so much for your time today, and again, I wish you the very, very best.
Hey, Colin, it's always your pleasure to have me on here. Make sure you continue writing all the good stuff about me, and stop being friends with guys like Josh Woods. Come on, man. You lose a lot of credibility quickly. You're like Shams for the NBA. You work for damn Clutch, so everything you report about Ben Simmons is bullshit. So if you stay friends with Josh Woods, you're going to lose my friendship real quickly.
Duly noted.